Andrew and Emma agreed to meet for a date at the park entrance at 9 p.m. But there was a slight problem. Both Andrew's and Emma's watches were showing the wrong time. Andrew's watch was 3 minutes behind, but he thought it was 2 minutes ahead. Emma's watch, on the other hand, was 2 minutes ahead, but she thought it was 3 minutes behind. Which of them do you think will be late for the date? Andrew will be 5 minutes late and Emma will be 5 minutes early. Gemma was attending a technology-themed costume party. When she arrived at the venue, she saw 3 people chatting by the drinks buffet who were all dressed in robot costumes. However, she noticed that one of them was a real robot. Can you tell who? Everyone is holding drinks in their hands, but take a look at the second guy. His glass is empty, but he's still pretending to drink something from it. Robots and liquids don't go well together, so he must be an actual robot. Realizing that Gemma noticed him, the robot immediately pulled her to the corner of the room and said, "Now that you know my real identity, I need to wipe your memory. But if you can answer my riddle correctly, I'll let you go. I have keys, but open no locks. I have space, but no room. You can enter, but you can't go inside. What am I?" The answer is a computer. Janice, Candace, and Demeter were 3 witches who cared a lot about looking young and beautiful, but one of them was actually 100 years old. Can you tell me who? The first witch, Candace, who is taking a selfie, looks like an old woman on her phone screen, but that's just a social media filter. As for the second witch, Janice, the creepy old lady-looking shadow at the back is not her shadow. It's an evil spirit that's haunting her. But look at the mirror the third witch, Demeter, is holding. It's reflecting what she doesn't want others to see, aka her true face. So she's the old lady here. Lloyd went to the costume store to buy something to wear for Halloween. Once he selected a costume for himself, he headed to the fitting rooms to try it, but all 3 of them were occupied. A few minutes later, 3 different customers in costumes came out of them. The first one was wearing a vampire costume. The second was wearing a werewolf costume. And the third one was wearing a zombie costume. But Lloyd immediately realized that one of them was actually a real monster. Can you tell who? Take a look at the mirrors in front of the fitting rooms. The customer in the vampire's costume doesn't have a reflection. That can only mean he is a real vampire. Sir Ridley Stormrider was a knight searching for his one true love. He traveled to the kingdom of Veridonia after hearing rumors that there was a magical mirror there, which revealed the location of the heart's desire to those who looked into it. But there was a catch. It would only reveal it to you if you knew the answer to the riddle that was engraved on it. I'm often running, but I never get tired. What am I? Can you help Sir Ridley Stormrider find love? The correct answer is water. Inspector Banner was inspecting the Academy of History and Science. During his inspection, he noticed that whenever he asked the class a question, all the students raised their hands in response. Moreover, even though the school teacher chose a different student each time, the answer was always correct. How did this work? The teacher had prearranged with the students that they would be called upon to answer regardless of whether they knew the answer or not. But those who knew the answer should raise their right hand, and those who did not know should raise their left hand. The teacher chose a different student each time. but always the one who raised his right hand. Amy had one last test to pass before she graduated. Her professor asked her only one question during the exam, which was this. You have 2 candle wicks. Each wick, lit from the end, burns completely to the ground in exactly 1 hour, but it burns at an uneven rate. How can you use these wicks and a lighter to measure 45 minutes? Can you help Amy graduate? It's necessary to light the first wick simultaneously from both ends, which will give you 30 minutes. Simultaneously with the first wick, you light the second wick from the end, and when the first wick burns out after 30 minutes, you light the second wick from the other end, which will give you the remaining 15 minutes. Layla's best friend was her dog named Gamgee. One night after spotting a falling star in the sky, she wished that Gamgee could talk to her. Then, suddenly, the star came to life in front of her and said, I will grant you your wish if you can answer this riddle of mine. Always old, sometimes new, never sad, sometimes blue, never empty, sometimes full, never pushes, always pulls. What am I? The answer is the moon. To Layla's surprise, her dog really started talking. The first thing it said was, "Oh, this riddle game is so fun! I want to play it too! Here's my riddle to you. What's always found on the ground but never gets dirty?" It's a shadow. Jamie was standing at the edge of a circular lake. The lake was 200 feet in diameter, and there was a small island directly in the middle. There was a large tree next to him and a large tree in the middle of the island. Jamie needed to get to the island in the middle of the lake, but he didn't know how to swim. He only had a little over 200 feet of rope. How can he use that to get there? First, Jamie needs to tie one end of the rope to the tree next to him. Then, while he's holding the other end of the rope, he should walk all the way around the lake. This will wrap the rope around the tree in the center. When he returns to his starting point, he needs to tie the end of the rope he's holding to the large tree again. He can now use this rope bridge to hold on to and cross the lake to the island. Cedric was a brilliant scientist. One day, suddenly a small portal appeared in his lap, and a little device with a letter attached to it fell on his head right before the portal closed. The letter said, "From future Cedric to past Cedric. One of my experiments accidentally caused chaos to be unleashed on Earth. That is why I have to prevent you from conducting this experiment in the first place. You will find the details inside the box, but you can only open it if you know the answer to this riddle. What occurs once in a minute, twice in a moment, and never in 1,000 years? Can you help Cedric save the future world?" The answer is the letter M. People who visited the town of Maplebrook often found themselves intrigued by Mr. Perry. He had a reputation of a not quite intelligent person. That was because when offered a choice between a 50-cent coin and a $5 bill, he always chose the coin, even though it was worth 10 times less than the banknote. Can you tell why he never chose the banknote? Well, he was not so foolish after all. You see, he realized that as long as he chose the 50-cent coin, people would offer him money to choose from, and if he chose the $5 bill, the offers of money would stop, and he would get nothing.
Further, you need to choose the right door to get through. You've got a keychain that says 4, but there are only 3 doors in front of you. Which door should you choose? The one on the left. The symbols on the doors are actually numbers. Once you open the needed door, you're presented with the next brain teaser. How do programmers like their candy corn? Well, bite-sized. What type of candy is never on time? Chocolate. I'm made of two colors, and I look like a hook. You'll give me a lick, but I'm not something you cook. What am I? A candy cane. Now how about this tricky riddle? What's red, white, and blue? It's a sad candy cane. A group of men walks into a candy store. There are two fathers and two sons. They each buy a candy bar for 50 cents. The total for all the candy bars is $1.50. How is it possible? Well, there are just three people: a grandfather, a father, and a son. Imagine purchasing two different pieces of candy. Together they cost $1.10. One candy cost $1 more than the other candy. So, what is the price of each piece of candy? One is 5 cents, and the other is $1.05. What does a candy cane say to another candy cane during a strong storm? Hurry, Cane! You've almost reached the end of this challenge. You see gates. You need a password to open them. Solve this puzzle, and the answer is your password. The answer is 20. Congrats, you're free to go. But it's not the end of your adventures. Now you need to play the role of a detective and help some people who are in trouble. An important secret document is missing, and Justin has to find it before his boss comes back from his vacation. The guy has found out that only 3 people in his department could have taken the document. When the papers disappeared, Randy was in his office analyzing a new case. Johnny was taking a shower before his regular gym workout, and Kayla was at her firearms training. Who took the document? It was Johnny. Hey, who takes a shower before a workout? Detective Robinson was invited for dinner at a suspect's house. The potential criminal offers him 3 dishes to choose from. The detective examines the dishes very attentively. Look at them and say which dish is safe to eat. These chocolate chip cookies look fine, until you notice that the chocolate chips are actually bugs. The steam over this bowl with soup is suspiciously green. This dish is likely poisoned. The only safe option is apples. Look at this tiny worm. If it can feed on the apple and survive, it's most likely okay to eat. Now you find yourself in a photo gallery. After looking at the wall, you realize one of the pictures doesn't belong there. You see a raccoon, a llama, a football, and a balloon. Can you tell which is the odd one out? It's the llama picture. The other three objects have two double letters in their names, but the llama only has one double. Linda is in a cafe with her boyfriend, and their date isn't going very well. At one point, they both get angry and start fighting. Suddenly, their waiter comes up to their table and hands something to Linda. It's a note with a strangely written word. Linda is confused. What does it mean? Can you figure it out? It's a rebus puzzle. The waiter is worried and asks Linda, "Are you in trouble?" In the land of green glass doors, there are books but no words, riddles but no answers, sheets but no blankets, cherries but no oranges. Can you name something else that you can find in the land of green glass doors? It can be any word that has double letters in it. If you take your friends to the movies and you're paying, what is cheaper? To invite two friends at the same time or to invite one friend twice?
Uh-oh.
It will cost you less to invite two friends at once. This way, you'll have to buy 3 tickets. If you invite one friend twice, you'll pay for 4 tickets. A police officer called Mark was questioning Mary, a suspect in a tricky smuggling case. The girl refused to talk. At one point, she shouted, "I'll drown my phone in this cup filled with coffee, and you'll never find out the truth." But Mark was totally unbothered by her threat. Why? The cup was filled with coffee beans. They would do no harm to the gadget. Once, a bank was robbed. The police suspected that one of the bank's security guards had helped the criminals. A police officer came to question 3 of them. The first security guard told him he had heard some shouting and rushed there. But by the time he arrived, the criminals had already been gone. The second security guard explained he had been drinking a cup of coffee at that moment and hadn't even heard anything. And the third guard said that he had run after the thieves, but he had to stop to lace his boot. When he crouched near an emergency exit, the door opened and hit him on the head, and he lost consciousness. When he came back to his senses, the criminals had already left. The officer immediately understood which guard was guilty. Who was it? It was the third security guard. All emergency doors open outward for safety reasons. For the third stage of the competition, the bakers who were selected were invited to the Kingdom of Frostholm. There, they needed to show their baking skills by baking a Christmas cake for the royal family who were organizing this competition. So, Laura needed to book her plane ticket. Do you know for which date she needs to book it? Remember the letter she got? There was a note on there at the very end, and it said, "Competition Stage 3 date, 24th of December." Laura checked the price of the plane ticket, but it was too expensive. However, she didn't notice the thing that might help her with the purchase. Can you spot what that is? Look at the info bar right at the end of the airline's website. There's a sliding notification that says, "Click here to answer our riddle and get a discount." Once Laura clicked the link, this riddle appeared on her computer screen. I'm a guide without a voice that gives you the whole world in your pocket or bag. What am I? The answer is a map. Laura flew to the Kingdom of Frostholm, where she was greeted by the butler of the royal family. He took her to the palace, where the contestants would be staying, and showed her 3 different room options. Which one should she pick? Do you see the hidden camera behind the TV inside the first room? So that's a pass. As for the third room, notice how the AC is set to cold even though it's snowing outside. No to that. So she should pick the second room. The palace employees had arranged a palace tour for the contestants to get them to relax a bit before the big day. During the tour, however, Laura noticed 3 strange things within the palace walls. Peek inside the throne room. Can you spot what's weird here? Do you see the portraits of the royal family members here above the thrones? The eyes of this past king's portrait are moving. Ooh. What's scary here in the kitchen? Take a gander at the chandelier. It's made of kitchen knives. And lastly, can you see what's creepy here in the ballroom? Do you see that dancing ghost that appears and disappears next to the stairs? Spooky. The day before the competition, Laura and the other contestants were introduced to the past winners in case they needed some inspiration and motivation. 3 bakers presented the cakes that made them win to the contestants. Laura immediately noticed that one of them was a zombie. Can you tell who? The second baker is surrounded by flies, but that just means she's a messy person, not a zombie. How did she even win? The third baker's cheeks have green spots on them, but that's just from the icing she used while making her cake. So the first baker is the zombie. Imagine the lollipop she decorated her cake with. One of them is an eyeball. Well, it was finally the big day. All the contestants were going to bake a pie, but they were told to choose what kind. There were 3 judges, and as they introduced themselves, they told the contestants what kind of pie their favorite was. Judge 1 expressed his love for chocolate pies. Judge 2 announced berry pie was his favorite. And Judge 3 said he was fond of pecan pies. However, Laura could tell one of them was lying. Can you tell who? Do you see the chocolate stains and pie crumbles on the second judge's shirt? That can only mean he's been enjoying a slice of chocolate pie before arriving at the competition venue. So he must prefer them to berry pies, despite what he said. It was decided Laura was going to bake a chocolate pie, and she was going to use her grandmother's secret recipe. In fact, her grandmother had written 2 of the ingredients in code so no one could steal her recipe. Let's look at them. Can you tell what these are? Just shift back each letter of the nonsense words by 1 in the alphabet, and you'll get the answer. So the first word decodes to sugar, and the second word decodes to cacao. The moment everyone had been waiting for was here. They were going to announce the winner. It was Laura. However, before she could claim her prize, the head judge presented her with one last challenge, a riddle to truly prove her baking wisdom. In the kitchen, I'm a king. Without me, baking's nothing. I can rise but never fall. And without my presence, your cake's too small. What am I? Can you help Laura win the grand prize? The correct answer is yeast. Now, before Laura flew back home, she wanted to explore the Christmas market of the kingdom. As she was waiting in line to get hot chocolate, a guy came up to her and congratulated her on her win. She could immediately tell who he was. Can you? He's the prince of the kingdom of Frostholm. Let's rewind a bit to when Laura was taking a tour of the palace. The prince's portrait is here among the royal family members' portraits, so she remembers him from there. The prince said he ate a slice of Laura's chocolate pie and loved it so much he was reminded of his childhood holidays. In return, he wanted Laura to take something from the market as his thank you gift, and something to remind Laura of her days here. Laura decided to pick a snow globe from the souvenir stall. Look at these 3 snow globes. Which one should you pick? Do you see that the first snow globe is cracked at the back and slowly leaking liquid? That wouldn't stand the journey back. And the ballerina inside the second snow globe is blinking. Must be some kind of a haunted item. So she should pick the third snow globe. At the airport departure gate, Laura was stopped by security because the scanner bleeped every time she passed it. What could be causing that? It's because of the necklace chain that is dangling from the pocket of her jacket. But she didn't have anything like that. When she checked it to figure out who it belonged to, she noticed that the heart-shaped pendant had a message from the prince to her inside it. Hope to see you again. Aww. Poor Brad finds himself locked in a dungeon of a magical castle. Beats me how he got there, but he just needs to escape as soon as possible. Brad looks around searching for some keys to open one single door. But he only finds these 3 potions. The first one makes you super small, the second potion turns you into a giant, and the third one makes you invisible. Can you help Brad find the correct potion? He should drink the first potion and escape through the keyhole. Brad leaves the dungeon successfully and finds himself in a hallway. Suddenly, he returns to his normal height. Oh no! A creepy guard patrols the area. Brad shouldn't catch his eye. He finds a box nearby and opens it. There's an axe, an invisibility cloak, and some handcuffs. Brad can only choose one thing. Can you pick up the most useful item for his escape? Brad should grab the cloak, blend into the interior, and escape unnoticed. Brad leaves the hallway safely and faces 3 doors leading to the bedrooms of 3 mysterious creatures. The first bedroom belongs to a vampire. He can fly and smell humans for miles. A hungry zombie is dancing all over the second bedroom. And a creepy mummy is living behind the third door. Anyone who sees it gets cursed automatically. Which way is more or less safe? Brad should choose the first door. Take a look outside the window. The sun is shining, which means the vampire is probably sleeping. Brad walks through the vampire's bedroom and finds himself on a balcony. There are 3 windows that he can climb through. The first passage is filled with toxic fog. A dragon is sleeping behind the second window, and venomous snakes are crawling all over the third passage. Can you help Brad pick the correct window? Brad still has his invisibility cloak, remember? So he should just stay quiet and walk through the second passage. Nailed it! Brad enters the library. He spots 3 books: Potions for Beginners, How to Ride Your First Dragon, and The History of Vampires. Can you pick a book that will help Brad escape? We've just seen a dragon, remember? Brad can try to escape from the castle with its help, so he should read the second book. Brad puts on his cloak and returns to the dragon's room. It's awake and ready to fly. Brad manages to climb onto the dragon's back and they rise into the air. Suddenly, the dragon spots its fellow dragon and tries to throw Brad off. Which location is the best for landing? The roof, the bridge, or the well? Brad should land on the bridge because it's the shortest way out. Brad lands on the bridge successfully, but the dragons destroy some parts of it right away. There are fires here and there. Brad should find a way to reach the gates. He looks around hoping to find something helpful. He can choose only one of these 3 items: a rope, a broom, or a tablecloth. What would you suggest? It's a magic castle, remember? Brad should grab the broom and fly over the flames. Brad hears a lady scream from a tower near the gates. It's Princess Elsa. She was imprisoned by the local wicked wizard. The key to her cage is hidden in this messy room. Can you help Brad find it? Hey, over here. Elsa says, "The wizard stole my ruby ring. This magical artifact is super strong. We need to return it as soon as possible. Otherwise, the whole world is doomed." Brad goes to the wizard's workroom, but the door is locked. Can you help him figure out a 5-number passcode to open it? Take a look at the symbols on the door. Each image implies a number. The word frog consists of 4 words, so it implies 4. Cat implies 3, flower 6, and so on. And the code is 43643. Brad enters the workroom. Thankfully, it's empty. Can you find any clues about where the ruby ring might be hidden? There's no window, but curtains are fluttering in the wind. That's because this bookcase on the left is a secret door. Brad enters the secret door and finds a dusty basement with a treasure box. It's guarded by a troll. The troll says, "I'll let you open the box if you manage to crack my puzzle. Listen carefully. I'm not alive, but I grow. I don't have lungs, but I need air. I don't have a mouth, but I'm afraid of water. What am I?" Can you help Brad solve this riddle? The correct answer is fire. Brad opens the box and grabs the ring. The wicked wizard enters the room and yells at him. Brad starts to run away. He needs to break through this maze to escape from the basement. Can you help him? Here's the only way out. Brad escapes successfully. He returns the ruby ring to Elsa and gives her a ride back to her native kingdom. Can you spot anything odd in this town? This guy is selling meat, not fresh books. Elsa invites Brad to her castle. She wants to throw a party to celebrate her return. But first, she takes a bath. Oh no, her ruby ring is gone again. Elsa left it on a table in her bedroom. Only 3 maids are allowed to enter this room, so Elsa questions them. Helga says, "I was just preparing essential oils for your skin. I didn't look around." Nina says, "I sewed your party dress in your bedroom. Nobody entered." And Diana says, "I was preparing your favorite tea. I didn't see anything suspicious." Who stole the ring? Nobody. It's still in the room. Take a look under the table. Hello? They probably dropped the ring on the floor by accident. The party begins. The local chef puts these 3 dishes in front of Brad. One of them is not safe to eat. Can you guess which one? Take a closer look at this pasta. These little things look like worms, so Brad should probably stay away from this dish. All right, time to dance. 3 ladies approach Brad and invite him onto the dance floor, but only one of them is safe to dance with. Can you figure out who? Take a look at the 3rd lady's reflection in the mirror. She's an old witch under a beauty spell. And the 1st lady doesn't have a reflection, so she's probably a vampire. Therefore, Brad should dance with the 2nd lady.
Oh yeah.
During the dance, Brad accidentally hits an antique vase. It falls and 1 fragment breaks off. Can you find the broken fragment among these 13 options? Only this piece fits perfectly.
Yeah!
Elsa announces a contest. She's willing to give away a fancy mansion to the one who solves her riddle. What king can you make if you take the head of a lamb, the middle of a pig, the hind of a buffalo, and the tail of a dragon? The head of the lamb is the letter L. The middle of a pig is the letter I. The hind of a buffalo is the letter O, and the tail of a dragon implies the letter N. So, the correct answer is lion. He's the king of the jungle, so it makes perfect sense. Elsa cuts the royal cake. Every guest gets a slice. Brad returns from the dance floor and discovers that someone took a bite of his slice. He questions 3 suspects nearby. Morgana says, "I didn't do it. I'm on a gluten-free diet, so I gave my slice away to my husband." Leonard says, "I count every calorie, sir, so I never eat more than 1 piece." And Franklin says, "Sorry, I didn't look at your cake. I was looking at my beloved Elsa." Who's lying? It's unlikely that a person on a gluten-free diet can eat this dessert. Therefore, Morgana lied. Finally, Brad is leaving this weird kingdom. He needs to tell a 2-word password to the guard at the gates. Here's a hint. You do it every morning. And the password is wake up. Whew, that was just a dream. Or was it?
Neil was one of the best watchmakers in town. He got a call from the police station one day, asking him for help to solve a crime. 2 burglars were caught robbing shops in town. Amongst the things they stole, there were 2 watches. One of the burglars claimed that the watch they stole was a fake. so the police contacted Neil to see if that was really true. Take a look at both watches. Can you help Neil figure out which one is fake and which one is real? The watch on the left is a fake. If you look closely, you'll see that the miniature arm is too long, so it can't pass around the entire clock when it moves. Maya was an undercover police officer. On a Saturday night, she was off duty and decided to go to the movies. When she arrived, she saw two women who looked pretty suspicious. She remembered that the police were tracking down a girl who had escaped from prison the week before. Take a look at both women. Can you tell if one has escaped prison recently? It's the lady on the left. Her prison uniform is peeking through her coat. I mean, she should have at least changed clothes by now, right? Beth arrived at school and one of her best friends showed her a picture. She told Beth that if she got the answer correctly, she would get a week's supply of free chocolate. The friend said that one of the people in the picture wasn't human. Can you help Beth figure out the answer? It's the boy in the middle. He doesn't have a shadow, which means he's definitely not human. Ruby was traveling around India when she decided to stop for some tea. As soon as she walked inside the tea shop, the owner placed 2 teapots in front of her. He told her she would get a free cup of tea if she could figure out his riddle. He told her that the first teapot contained enough tea for 40 cups and asked to figure out, just by looking at the pot, how many cups of tea it could carry inside. Take a look at the image. Can you help Ruby figure out the answer? This is a tricky one. Probably the second teapot can only carry around 20 cups of tea. If you look closely, you'll see that the outlets of the first teapot is located in the middle of the pot. But the outlet of the second pot is located right at the bottom, so even if the pot is taller, it can't hold more water than the first one. After water hits the level of the outlet, it'll just start overflowing. Mary was walking in an enchanted forest when she met Randy, a magical unicorn. Mary asked the unicorn for some information, but he refused to talk to her unless she solved one of his riddles. He was a trickster and liked confusing people with his riddles. He told Mary that in a nearby field there were tigers and sheep. Usually one tiger could catch 3 sheep in 3 minutes. So he asked her how long it would take for 100 tigers to catch 100 sheep. Can you help Mary figure out the answer? It would still take 3 minutes, because each tiger is still catching 1 sheep in 3 minutes. It doesn't matter if it's 3 tigers or 100. The unicorn was surprised by Mary's abilities and gave her another riddle to solve. He asked her to name the 5 days of the week without saying Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, etc. She also couldn't say whether it was the first day of the week or the last. What do you think Mary answered here? She said, the day before yesterday, yesterday, today, tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow. Clever girl, huh? Brianna was traveling on business, and her company put her in one of the best hotels in town. She arrived from work late at night, exhausted. She was getting ready to go to bed when she heard a knock on the door. When she looked through the peephole, she saw a man standing outside. The man said he was sorry for bothering her, but the hotel database had crashed and he needed to recheck some of her information. Brianna said she would be back in a moment, got away from the door, and called security. She said there was someone in the hotel trying to rob her. Take a look at the image. How did she know the man was a robber? Look at the man's name tag. It's a female name. He is surely not the real hotel manager. Luca decided to throw a party for his best friends. He invited over 20 people to the party, but he only bought 9 candies. He told his friends he would leave the candies inside a pretty little box, and they could each get 1 candy. 9 people took 9 candies, but 1 candy was still in the box. How could that be possible? It's pretty simple. The last person took the candy and the box. This way, 1 candy remained in the box. Noah reported to the police that someone had stolen his red motorbike the previous night, right out of his garage. The police started to search for it and tracked 3 main suspects. Take a look at them. Which one stole Noah's motorbike? It's this guy on the right. Look closely. His motorbike is painted, but the paint is dripping and one can spot the old red color. He must have stolen it and painted it in a different color so as not to attract any attention. But you caught him. It's the finale of the Big Money Buzz Show, and Natalie is faced with a difficult task. There are 3 fish bowls, each one of them containing a different amount of gold bars inside. If she manages to put her hand inside one of the bowls and take it out, she can keep the gold bar. The first bowl has scalding hot water inside of it. The second is filled with flesh-burning acid. And the last bowl has a couple of venomous scorpions walking around. Which bowl should she choose? Natalie should just wait until the water cools down and grab the gold bar from the first bowl. Smart, huh? Bobby was blindfolded and put into a shaky van. When he woke up, he was alone in a dark, empty room. There was nobody there, but there were 3 envelopes on the floor. A post-it on top of the envelope said, "Each envelope contains a red capsule and 2 statements. In one of these envelopes, both statements are false. In another envelope, both statements are true. You have to choose the correct capsule to get out of this alive." He opened the first envelope, saw a capsule and the message, 1. Don't eat this candy. 2. Take the candy from the second envelope. On the second envelope, the note said, 1. Don't take the candy from the first envelope. 2. Take the candy from the third envelope. And the last envelope said, 1. Don't eat this candy. 2. Take the candy from the first envelope. Which capsule should Bobby take? He should trust the candy from the third envelope. Let's see why. The first message of the first envelope is true, while the second is false. Both messages from the second envelope are true. This leaves us with 2 false statements on the third envelope. The manager of a gift shop got a call from the police station. The police told him there was a burglar on the loose. He dressed up as the Joker and was robbing local shops. But since it was Halloween, a lot of people were walking dressed up as the Joker. At that moment, 4 Jokers entered the shop. The manager got suspicious, so he made the people stand in a line while he examined which one of them was the criminal. Take a look at the image. Can you guess which Joker is the real thief? The thief is the second Joker on the left. Take a look at his shoes. They're much bigger than the other shoes. He must be hiding something inside of it. On Emma's second day of work, her boss texted her saying to look for a woman named Helen. Since he was super busy, Helen was supposed to give Emma the details of her next assignment. The thing is, Emma had no idea who Helen was. Take a look at the office. Can you help Emma find Helen? Look at that woman right there. She's got a necklace with the initial H on it. And plus, her badge says Helen. It's safe to say that's her right there. Emma's been working a lot trying to catch up with everything, so she's almost forgotten to grab lunch. By the time she went down to the cafeteria, there weren't many options left. Take a look at the picture. What's Emma's safest choice? Let's see. That burger looks nice, but there's a lipstick stain on the bun, so that's a no. The apple pie is steaming, but it looks like it's been microwaved dozens of times, and it's about to go bad.
Oh.
Her safest choice is probably the frozen pizza.
Okay.
They defrost it on the spot. Hey, at least like this, she won't get food poisoning.
Oh.
At the end of the first week, Emma was helping her boss with an important project. It was late at night, and all of a sudden, the lights went out.
Oh my God.
The power was cut from the entire building for a few minutes, until it came back on. The boss immediately thought about the classified documents he kept in an electric safe, down in the basement.
Oh, no.
Emma tagged along with him to check out the safe, but when they got there, they saw the safe was empty.
Oh my God.
Someone had caused a power shortage and stolen the documents. As soon as the police arrived, they started to conduct an investigation. Lanny, the IT guy, said he got stuck inside his office when the power went out because he couldn't open the electric door. Helen, the floor supervisor, said she had taken the opportunity to take a nap since she couldn't go home. Brian, one of the new consultants, said he had gone to the kitchen to make some tea and wait until the power came back on. Can you tell who's lying? Brian is the liar. He couldn't make tea without any electricity, since there was no stove in the kitchen and the kettle wouldn't work.
Oh boy.
On a rainy morning, Emma pressed the snooze button on her phone too many times and left the house pretty late for work. She needed to find a quicker path to work. She put her office's address on Google Maps and it showed her 3 options. Each path had a different obstacle that would take her some time to get across. For example, while going around a tree takes 3 seconds, going around a bush takes 2 seconds. And if she crosses a stop sign, she has to stop for 1 second. Take a look at the image. Can you help Emma choose the fastest track? The fastest track is the one on the right. That's the track with the least obstacles. It's lunchtime and Emma goes to the fridge to grab the sandwich she brought from home. But when she opens the fridge, she notices that her food is missing. Someone probably ate her burrito. She decides to conduct a quick investigation to see who stole her lunch. Her boss ordered some expensive takeout from a new restaurant in town. Joe, her colleague, is highly allergic to gluten, so he ate something he brought from home as well. Helen, the supervisor, ate a delicious salad bowl from the cafeteria. Take a look at the picture. Can you guess who stole Emma's lunch? It was Joe. His hands are all swollen. He probably ate the burrito even though he's allergic to gluten. Yikes! Since she moved to San Francisco, Emma has been living with 2 other girls in a tiny apartment. She's got the feeling that one of the girls doesn't really like her. One day when she got home from work, there were 3 apples on her desk and a small note. The note said the apples were a housewarming gift, but it didn't say from whom. Take a look at the picture. Are any of these apples safe to eat? The one that has the little worm in it is the safest one. Who knows, maybe the other ones are poisoned, or worse. Emma's boss asked her to pick up his car from the car shop and drive it to their office. She wanted to impress him, so she said yes. She picked up the car and drove it through the steep hills of San Francisco before arriving at the office building. Once she got there, she saw the reception was on fire. Right next to the double glass doors, there was a fire hydrant she could use to fight the fire. Which door should Emma open first? The car door. Duh! Today, Emma's task at work was to help Helen, her supervisor, hire a new social media manager. Together, they analyzed 3 different resumes. The first one was from a woman named Angela. She is 23 years old and doesn't have a lot of company experience, but she's eager to learn. Thomas is 28 years old and has 7 years of work experience. He says he's been working for Google since the company was founded. And then there's Bianca, who's 20 years old and has been making viral TikTok stories for over 2 years. Who should they hire? They should probably hire Angela. Thomas lied in his resume because Google was founded in 1998, and Bianca can't be an expert at making TikTok stories since TikTok doesn't have this option to begin with. Helen asked Emma to run an important errand for her. Her only request was for Emma to be fast. The thing is, Emma needed to cross town to get to the place Helen asked her to go. So, she decided to cross the big park that connected the town. Somewhere along the way, Emma got lost and found herself at the intersection of 3 pathways. At the entrance of the first pathway, there was a huge pond. At the entrance of the second path, there was a pile of really toxic waste. And blocking the entrance of the last pond, there was a hungry-looking bear. Which path should Emma choose? She should go for the first one. Sure, she'll be a bit wet, but at least she won't be eaten by a bear. At the entrance of Emma's new apartment, someone installed a coded machine to open the door, but didn't give any hints. The buttons are shaped like animals. There's a butterfly, a tiger, a bear, and a dolphin. Do you have any idea which button Emma should press? She should press the bear. Look inside the building through the glass doors. The emblem of the building is a bear.